Hi there, I'm Denise. Welcome to this presentation all about what activated asana is. So I realize that, there's lots of people out there who've never heard of me, they've never heard of activated asana. And if you come to my channel, you're probably wondering what that's all about. So here's the origin story of activated asana. So the seeds of activated asana were planted for me, years ago when I became aware of the frustrations of my fellow yoga teachers. Yoga teachers would come out, and I watched this over and over again because I was involved with the trainings and teaching at a studio with lots of teachers. And teachers would come out of their first and sometimes their second YTT training feeling like they still didn't have the confidence they needed to help individual students or special groups. They felt okay teaching a class, sort of a multi-level drop-in class. But beyond that, if a student asked them a specific question, they didn't really know what to do to help. They really lacked confidence in that respect. If they were asked to teach a special group of students, athletes or seniors, they always felt like they had to take a special training to do that. They never had any specific foundation or any general knowledge even to draw upon. And they were just really lacking in understanding the body and how it worked. They seemed to blame themselves also for sort of not getting it out of the teacher trainings they'd been to. And, as you might know, there's very few hours in yoga teacher training allotted to the anatomy portion. I remember talking to a couple of yoga teachers at the studio, and they were bemoaning the fact that, hey, they had recently taken an anatomy focused, extra training, extra education, where the trainer started off by saying, forget everything you learned in YTT. And I just thought, that's so unfair because these students just came away, or these teachers actually came away just feeling more confused than ever. And they were thinking like, who can I trust? If I can't trust my own training and I take another training, there's just so many conflicting ideas out there and I don't know what the right one is. And that's one thing that really, I really felt like if yoga teachers had a better foundation for themselves, they wouldn't be so easily fooled or taken in or confused by, things that other people say or things they come across online, etc. So, that was something that really opened my eyes. And the more I started to see yoga teachers, go through this over and over again, I realized they're kind of terrified by their lack of knowledge. And they were, worried they were going to be found out, or worse, that somebody would get seriously injured in their class because of something they did. And this fear of injuring students is very real. You probably observed, as I did, in your own training, if you've taken yoga teacher training, you've probably seen other teachers in training getting hurt during the trainings. I mean, I did every single time, just about. And yoga teachers often get injured practicing exactly the way they were taught over the years. So even if they do everything right, they end up getting injured. And so, again, I just think that something very fundamental is missing from the training for that to happen. Worrying about, your students getting injured is totally reasonable, but it's totally unnecessary if you know how to teach movement and you understand how the body works. So it was about in 2009 when I became certified to teach yoga. And actually, the very next training, I was recruited to teach the anatomy and physiology portion of the YTT. Now, this is because I have an extensive background, which I'll talk about in a separate video, but I gladly accepted, being involved with the training sounded really interesting and I was really into it. But then I found out how much time I was going to have to work with, which was literally in a 200-hour program, it was about 10 hours. So I realized I was going to have to go about teaching anatomy and physiology a lot differently than I did at the massage therapy college where I was an instructor and curriculum developer. I knew right away, like I had hundreds of hours to teach those subjects in the college, and I was going to have to work with 10 hours. So for me to cover even the basic concepts that anyone who's teaching movement needs to know, that time is not enough. So I used to also teach the techniques for those trainings, and I would, permeate the techniques with some of the anatomy concepts and stuff so I could at least ground it into the body. I had a lot of practice at doing that. I did it as best I could for about 8 years. And I taught at least 2 trainings a year, sometimes 3. Some of them were 300-hour trainings. And I did the best that I could with what I had to work with. I mean, everybody does, but I still felt, it just fell short of what teachers need to really build their understanding. So they could actually problem solve with an individual student, or they could design a class for a special group of people, who had like a common goal or something like that. I remember one of my friends, she was an experienced teacher. She took a 3-day intensive called Yoga for Athletes, which you would think would prepare you to teach yoga to athletes and possibly even like teams of athletes. She took it that intensive specifically because she had been asked to teach a series of classes to a group of competitive young hockey players. So she took 3 days of training. I think there was 25 hours in that 3 days. So it was very long days, very intense, a big chunk of money. And after that was over, she literally reached out with me, please get together with me. I don't know what to do for this class. I don't even know where to begin. So I got together with her and helped her design a class for this group of hockey players. She had a certificate for her wall after taking that training, but she didn't know how to put a class series together. And that was specifically why she took that training. I mean, it was called Yoga for Athletes after all. So, I just think that there's like a huge deficiency in yoga training. They're not teaching you how the body works. They're not helping you problem solve. They're not teaching you overarching concepts, because the body plays by rules. And if you understand those rules, then you can work with the body to bring about certain results. But that just does not happen in yoga teacher training. And to make things even worse, they don't teach you how to teach either. So they sort of give you a bunch of information, not nearly enough, but then it's just up to you to know how to transmit that information. So knowing how to transmit knowledge, how to break it down, how to make it practical so students can, bring it into their lives is just not something that yoga teachers are taught. Yoga teachers need to be developed. There are many specialized skills that are involved. And you can't be expected to just become the teacher without any guidance and direction. So no wonder yoga teachers end up feeling frustrated and even a little bit scared. So by 2017, the pressure for me to come up with some kind of a solution, because I was seeing this and it was really bothering me, it just became too great to put it off any longer. So I started building a cohesive training that would give yoga teachers the key concepts that anybody who teaches movement really needs to know. And then I grounded that in, practical ways, experiential exercises, in full practice sequences, into the asana. And just to be clear, this is not how these concepts are taught in YTTs. Actually, the concepts I teach are not taught in YTTs or any other training intensives. I've developed a whole new methodology. I had to meet this need. And I'll tell you about that in a little bit, but there's actually a whole story behind that. That's another video I'll make one of these days. So now you know the whys of me developing the methodology and the teaching structure. There is another why here that I am very passionate about, and I also feel is my dharma. And I am sure you see this too. People in general are in worse shape than ever. Nobody seems to know how to take care of themselves or what their body needs to be healthy and robust and strong enough to live a fully functioning, pain-free life. I mean, it's pretty crazy how people are literally just falling into dependency on a failed medical model that does not help them become a vibrant, fully functioning human being. People are being given, pills and treatments that don't get to the root of their problem, and they just make everything worse. And I'm sure you have people in your life, maybe this has even happened to you. So I call this the movement crisis, the modern movement crisis, because we don't have enough inherent movement built into our lives anymore because we sit so much. We're on phones and computers and we drive, and you have to be pretty intentional to get sufficient movement into your life to actually have your body operate the way that it should. So, when you add to that, the other issue of like people don't have enough movement. And then when they do get moving, they don't know their body very well. They just don't know what it takes to have a strong, healthy body, how to move it well so that they don't injure themselves, so that they have good movement mechanics. I mean, it's really kind of a mess. So, I see this as kind of a pit that people are falling into right now. It's the modern movement crisis, coupled with this lack of knowledge of the body and how it works and how to keep it robust and healthy. People are bringing, bad habits from their sitting life, into their yoga practice, into their walking habits, into any other activity they do. And what are the bad habits? We all see this, the head forward posture, right? The slouching, the locked knees and the pelvis punching forward and the head coming forward. There's lots of very recognizable habits that people have nowadays, from being on their phone, from being on the computer, from driving cars, and not to mention what's going on in the lower body with weakness in the feet and knees and hips. And so there's all kinds of bad habits that are just being brought into their movement practice, and they don't really see it or feel it. It's kind of their default position. They really need somebody who can see that, like a yoga teacher who can see that and help them correct it. And on top of all of that is aging. So people, will age faster. Their bodies will break down faster if they don't know how to keep it robust and healthy through better movement, enough movement, and then good habits. So I do see this as quite a crisis right now. Younger and younger people are actually having symptoms that used to be associated with aging. So things like low energy, depression, painful or injured joints, postural issues, and various functional limitations, just through weakness, and that used to be associated with aging. It's no longer so, not anymore. Movement is so essential to human beings. And current research has shown that a strong movement practice is orders of magnitude more effective at resolving those issues I just mentioned in a more permanent way than any other treatment or drug. Like if we go back to that slide, like you can't get a drug that's going to give you more energy over time. Sometimes these things work for a little while. You get hooked on them, you can't get off of them without difficulty, and it never solves the root of the problem. Same thing with depression, same thing with your painful, injured joints. If you never learn better mechanics, those joints are not going to heal like you need them to. Postural issues don't go away on their own. They only ever get worse if you're not aware and you're not doing something about it. And then various functional limitations. So that could be anything, right? But it usually leads back to weakness. So many of the injuries and issues today are caused by what we call like underuse rather than overuse issues. Everybody says like, oh, your body's wearing out. No. It's not actually wearing out. It's drying out, and it's getting weak because you're not using it enough and you're not doing movement that's strong enough to keep your body healthy and strong. So that's, I feel like it's a pretty compelling thing for us to deal with. And the trouble is, when it comes to the yoga world and how people come into this practice, stretching is a very important thing to know, to understand. And most yoga teachers don't understand stretching and the effect of stretching. But when we're talking about a weakness or an instability issue or like a modern movement crisis issue, stretching makes all of those things worse, all of them, even the mental issues. So, yoga teachers are still out there teaching stretching-based classes, which are going to make those symptoms worse. And activated asana is different. My teachers understand the implications of stretching and what the body actually needs to recover function, to remain strong and healthy and vital. We have to admit it. If you don't know, okay, this is a moment of truth here. If you don't know what the body needs or how it works, you can't possibly help your students. You, even out of the goodness of your heart, if you want to so bad, you can't help them if you don't know how the body works. And you could be doing a disservice to your students and be totally unaware of it. Not meaning to, of course, not meaning to. But it is, a real danger that you could be doing things such as stretching that are only going to make issues worse for your students. Your students are dealing with issues of the modern age, and to become aware of this is really important. So, activated asana is designed to deal with these problems, these current problems of the people who are practicing yoga today. Okay, not 150 years ago, not 1,000 years ago, the today's people. So, number one, it's designed to educate. Even your students, like obviously, activated asana teachers are going to have a much higher level of education, but we're educating our students as well. So, it helps solve the problem of inadequate education for yoga teachers because I've curated the most valuable and reliable concepts that give a basis for understanding movement and how the body adapts to how we use it. So, this is where it begins. The teachers got to be better educated. Activated asana develops you as a teacher. Okay. It helps you. I have methodology that helps you absorb this body of knowledge that you are going to be sharing with your students. And it teaches you a language that simplifies the concepts so that you can teach it in an accurate language that your students will understand. And it will give them the experience, the understanding that they need to have in their body and that they can take off the mat. And this is for everybody. These concepts and principles apply to everybody, no matter who they are. It's just you'll be able to gauge what kind of stimulus or what kind of practice an older person will need versus a young athlete versus a new mom. It applies to everybody. It develops you as a teacher who is able to use her or his language to convey real important concepts to your students and help them understand their own body. My students absolutely love this aspect of the practice. And the other part of activated asana is that it helps to fix this movement crisis, or it meets it head on. And that's what we need. I really believe, again, this is part of my mission. It's giving the students a practice that educates them. It helps them take care of their body at any age or stage. Teaches them how to move well by literally developing skills. Okay, we do skill building in activated asana that they can apply to all movement, any other activity they do, and maybe they can dig themselves out of the hole they've been digging for themselves with their posture and their lifestyle habits. It's actually, activated asana is designed to solve these problems. And here's what I see over and over again. Many people are already in the pit, that I showed you, a pit of weakness and degeneration that's only going in one direction. And a lot of people are on surgical tables right this moment, having surgeries they would not have needed if they knew how to take care of their body, keep it strong and functional. If they knew what to do, they could have made better choices. Those surgeries will not solve their problems for the most part either, unless they're really diligent in their rehabilitation, because they're going to go back to their habits. They're going to go back to their wonky movement mechanics, and maybe they're going to move even less than they did before. So who knows what those outcomes will be, but let's see if we can help people make better choices, do movement practices that keeps their bodies strong and robust so they don't have to go down the road to surgery. And really, this is where you come in. Activated asana supports the healing process. So I feel like, yoga teachers are missing an opportunity here. And I think we can play an indispensable role in the whole, well, if we want to call it the healthcare paradigm, because we're focusing on real health, okay? Real like mental, emotional, physical, spiritual health. And I think yoga teachers can play an indispensable role here, helping people restore their full function. So whether they've been injured or had surgery or not, most young people today are weaker than they should be. Same goes for middle-aged people and older people. So everybody needs to get stronger. Some people have had past injuries or chronic issues or surgeries or whatever, and we can come alongside those people and help guide them back to full function, because we can work with people over a longer period of time. People are not going to keep seeing a physical therapist usually for years, but they'll maintain a yoga practice for years. And if they are practicing the kinds of activations and this methodology that I'm going to tell you about, they will over time build stronger, more injury resistant joints. And nobody else can really work with people in that way like a yoga teacher can. So we do have this incredible opportunity before us. And what we need in order to step into that role is better education, basically. So let me ask you something. If you were a yoga teacher, most yoga teachers that I know would say that they got into teaching yoga because they want to help people, right? That probably strikes a chord. I want to help people. I want to help people feel good. Well, what does that mean? Like, what does it mean to help people? It means that you want something to change. Am I right? Like something needs to change. Something needs to improve or get stronger, or maybe it needs to heal. It's such that your body is more robust, healthy, vibrant, strong, so that life feels easier. Things feel more balanced. Even psychologically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you're going to feel stronger. You'll be able to handle the storms of life. You want to feel stronger and more in harmony with yourself, right? That's what we want to do as yoga teachers. We want to have that kind of impact. But how can you help, right? How to help? If you don't know how this works, then you can't help. And you might make things worse. And that's just the awful truth. And I know yoga teachers are facing this truth every day and losing sleep over it. So I think we need to shift our focus from what's the style of practice that we teach? What are the asana we offer? How is this asana supposed to be done? We need to start focusing on our students more and what kind of results they're getting. That's what we need to be doing. It's time for a results-oriented practice. And that means you need to know the rules of the body, okay? You need to put the focus on meeting the needs of your students within the practice, designing classes that meet those needs of the modern yoga student. And if you want to do that successfully, you're going to need a better education. So first of all, let's talk about like, what do your students need anyways? What are they coming for? What's it all about for them? Well, here are kind of 3 areas that I've broken down for talking about what our students want out of yoga. Okay. So there's sort of an immediate outcome that they're hoping for. And then there's an intermediate sort of outcome, they'll get some of this immediately, but over the long term, this is where it really gets worked out. And then there are long-term outcomes that they're hoping to achieve. Okay, so we'll start with the immediate. And this is where our students want to enjoy life. So this means they do care about their physical fitness. They want to be stronger. They want their balance to be good. They want to have full mobility. They want to be injury-proof. They don't want to be afraid in their body. They want to have the full use of their body and to feel vibrant and energetic. They may play other sports or do other activities, and they're thinking that the yoga practice is going to help them in these other areas. Maybe it's golf or snowboarding or water skiing or pickleball. They assume that their yoga practice will help them in these other endeavors. They may have hobbies. So say playing a musical instrument or dance or riding or gardening. And some of these things might sort of wreck their body a little bit, make their back sore, make their feet sore, whatever it might be. And they're hoping that yoga practice is going to sort of help unwind that or mitigate that to some degree. And then, of course, they want stress management. So they want to know how to downregulate their nervous system, restore a restful state. And those are kind of the immediate benefits that our yoga students want from their practice. We can definitely deliver on those things. And then they're thinking that they'll also want these health benefits. So, vital health indicators, right? Like a strong immune function, good digestion, cardiovascular system that's, very healthy and vital, good brain function, right? Bone density they're concerned about. Their balance and coordination, right? So they're not injuring themselves all the time. Emotional management and hormone balance, all of these things are very systemic benefits from the practice, and our students are very interested in that. And the benefits they get, it's sort of a requirement. It's part of movement. That's where these benefits come from. So all of these systemic benefits happen due to your movement life, because if you're not moving, all of these things are going to be worse. So if you have a strong movement life, then everything is better. That's just how it goes. There's lots and lots of research on that. Very easy to find. And then there are or not high, but long-term outcomes that our students are interested in. Now, if you're teaching really young people, they're probably not thinking about this a whole lot, but the older your students get, so when students are in their 30s and then 40s and then 50s, I guarantee you every decade they go, that long-term outcome becomes more important to them until, it's all that they care about, of course, right? Because that's where they are. And I call this high performance aging. That's what people want. People do not want to end up in wheelchairs and walkers. They don't want to be afraid to move. They don't want to be confined and isolated. Nobody wants a future like that. People want to have confidence in their walking. They want to be able to go up and down stairs by themselves, take care of themselves, their own grooming and bathing and all of that. They want to be able to pick things up off the floor, not sort of wait helplessly for somebody to come along and pick it up for them. They want to carry their own groceries. Like, these are things that give an elderly person dignity. Okay. They may also want to travel and play with their great grandchildren, still cook a family meal. When you're in your 80s and 90s, these things become very, very important to you. And your life is really, I guess it's sort of down to being able to take care of yourself and remain independent as long as you can. So these are things that you need to prepare for decades ahead of time. Just so you know, you can't really catch up with that in your 70s and your 80s. You have to build that earlier in life. The earlier, the better. So we need to, as yoga teachers, I think we need to be aware of that and make sure we're practicing in a way that those kind of long-term outcomes are possible. And we don't do that by sort of mollycoddling our students and teaching them practices that are so gentle that there's no way they'll ever get injured. That's not what we need. We need to get stronger. We need to get stronger. So activated asana focuses on two main outcomes, again, based on what we've identified as like student needs. So one of them is skillful movement to achieve those short-term goals. If you are better at how you move, gardening is not going to be a problem for you. Your golf game is going to improve. You're going to be more physically fit if you are skilled at movement. And then high performance aging, it's over there in our long-term goals. And that is going to come from years of practicing skillful movement. Okay. So high performance aging is definitely an outcome. It's not something you can do. You can wait to take on. So skillful movement is where, we're focusing on learning good movement mechanics. I'm very much teaching about that. It's about joint position. I'll tell you my methodology in a moment. Having confidence in your body, like real confidence, and being able to transfer skills that you're learning in the yoga practice to everything else that you do. Yoga is a place to develop those skills, but we have lots of other places where we can use them. And high performance aging, the outcomes we're looking for are independence, longevity, right, and health span. We don't want to be kept alive by drugs. We want to be alive in our body with the use of our body and feeling healthy and vibrant and able to do things. So we don't want to be in a bed for 10 years in a long-term health facility. Think about it. I think people avoid thinking about these things until it's way too late. So we need to prepare for that early. So activated asana bridges the gap between yoga asana and movement science. And both of these worlds do belong together. And let's just look at what they contribute to this world of activated asana. So we have, on the one hand, the yoga tree, where, we appreciate everything that yoga has given us, all of the different techniques. And then I would include in there mantra, meditation, pranayama, obviously asana, all the philosophies and ways of looking at things. I also include in here like self-inquiry, self-discipline, self-realization, all of those aspects. The mindfulness of the practice, I think, it has done so much for our health and well-being. And then on the other side, there's Western kind of the movement science world and everything that we've learned from that, which can contribute so much to how we practice asana because, we have a unique situation, this modern movement crisis. So from, movement science, we've learned, so much from the research that's done on resistance training or sports performance or rehabilitation or in physical therapy. All kinds of wonderful research done on real people. I'm not as fond of the laboratory research in that world, but definitely so much clinical research done with real people using real techniques and different methodologies. And now, more recently than all of these other things, we have the research that's being done on the fascia and the fascial lines and the connective tissue system in general. And this is really fascinating. And I have fully incorporated working with the fascial lines into activated asana as part of my methodology. So I feel like there's, bringing these worlds together was my intention. I have a background in both, and I just feel like they belong together, and that really upgrades our understanding of the benefits of asana, like what is possible with asana. And I've been inspired by some of these leaders in movement research. Maybe you know of them as well. One of them is Dr. Kelly Starrett. I feel like him and his wife have done an amazing job of making training principles accessible and understandable to regular people who just have a body, anyone from an elderly senior to a military officer to, an elite athlete. They are just wonderful educators. So check out Dr. Kelly Starrett. Dr. Emily Splitchell is a barefoot movement enthusiast herself, but she's also a functional podiatrist. So I've learned a lot about barefoot and the effect on the body and walking mechanics and all of that from Emily Splitchell. She's wonderful to look up. You can also check out her Evidence-Based Fitness Academy. Then there's Dr. Stu McGill, who has done so much extensive work on back care and solving back issues for, again, regular people, but also very high-level athletes, military as well. So again, tons of wonderful research from him. And then, of course, we have Tom Myers, who is the one who really described the fascial system and the fascial lines, which I've really incorporated into activated asana. He does quite a lot of teaching to yoga teachers now as well, and does dissection and all of that. So he's really interesting to look into. And then there's Dr. Tommy John, who's kind of a bit of a maverick in the whole remedial exercise or rehabilitation world, really working with cutting edge approaches to healing and helping the body adapt. And I just love his work. I'm very, very inspired when I listen to him. So yeah, these are some of the people you might want to check out too. So there's three main aspects that I want to tell you about in activated asana. And that is, it's a practice, it's a methodology, and it's an education. Like the education piece is super important. So based on the teachings of the East and the West, like we looked at in our tree, from the East, we get, the mindfulness, the self-discipline, self-discovery, inquiry, and the concept of life force energy or prana or ki, or however you like to talk about it. From the West, we get the movement science piece, training principles, research, being able to get predictable outcomes. And then they also talk about energy, but it's in terms of like the piezoelectric effect of our connective tissues, for instance, or the body electric. There's been lots of new study on the flow of electricity and electrons through the body tissues, especially the collagenous tissues, and the effect of sound and vibration and all of that. So that's part of Western medicine too. It's not allopathy, but that research is being done in the West, and we want that to help us round out our understanding of what's happening when we practice. So activated asana, let me tell you about each of these pieces because they're all super important, obviously. So the practice is designed to eliminate pain in the joints and heal your joints. Okay, so if you've previously had joint issues from your practice, you have an unstable SI joint, you have, front of the hip, maybe you've bothered your labrum too many times, or it could be a medial knee, or it could be the shoulder. These are very common in yoga. It could be high hamstring tendon. we can help you heal those issues in activated asana because of the way we send tension forces through the body. So it's going to help you build a lighter, stronger, more injury-proof body. And this is very intentional. It's by design, and these are predictable outcomes. Then there's the methodology. So this is called organization and activation. And it's a way of using your body that applies to all movement, not just asana. So as I said, you learn skills. You apply organization and activation. You skillfully work with your body in asana, then you take it off the mat. This organization and activation methodology is built on timeless principles of training and then consciously using the fascial lines. That's an integral part of this methodology. There really isn't anything else out there that does that. And then activated asana is all about a higher level of education, okay? There's a body of knowledge, and this body of knowledge is like an instruction manual to the human body, that you wish you got in high school, because you will use it for the rest of your life, and you're going to pass it on to your children. And it's designed to help you infuse the knowledge. We want to infuse, we're very intentional about developing you as a teacher to infuse you with this body of knowledge and then give you the language so that you can talk like an expert and enable you to problem solve, to help any student, any group of students, and you will really be affecting lives. And part of the education is understanding a very important key to health and well-being, that you need to understand this yourself, and you need to tell every single student you ever teach. It's the key. So it is this, that we are designed to heal and adapt when given the right stimulus. Healing and adaptation is what we're designed to do. But if we withhold the proper stimulus from the body that would stimulate that, then, it's not going to, it doesn't happen by accident. Okay. But just know that, I might be talking to you and you're suffering with an injury. You've had a chronic issue for a long time. You've been in pain. But I want you to know that no matter what is going on in your body, it is designed to heal and adapt. We just need to give it the right resources. Okay. When you understand how this works, you can literally save lives from pain, dysfunction, injury, degeneration, and needless surgeries, and give people back their quality of life. Now, for me as a yoga teacher, I feel that is a very powerful position to be in, and one I take very seriously, and I help everyone that I can. And, it is, like I say, it is powerful. This is a purposeful practice, okay? It's not you as a yoga teacher going out there and just guiding people through a series of asana postures you can easily do yourself, postures they probably struggle with. It's not about that. It's about teaching them things that are really useful to them that might actually save their body. An integral part of activated asana, again, now I'm going to tell you a little bit about a couple of the concepts you'll need to know, and that is encompassed in the 5 biological laws of the body. So the key to getting better results now and in the future is in how we practice. It's how we practice. And we can do this practice for life. It's not something that, the young people do, and then as you get older, you have to give it up. This can be used throughout your whole life because it's built on principles. The 5 biological laws of the body are this. I'm just going to run through them really quickly, just so you know they're a real thing. The first is the law of adaptation. Your body is always changing and adapting based on what it's experiencing. Okay, your body is living every part of your life, and it's adapting to everything. It is trying to respond to what you're asking it to do. If all you ever ask it to do is sit, stand, and lie down, then it's going to try to make you good at that, okay? But you're not going to be good at walking. You're not going to be good at lifting things. You're probably going to feel tired and lethargic, and you'll have lots of congestion in your body. So your body needs the right stimulus to adapt if you want a healthier, more vibrant body, but your body will adapt. Then there's the law of stress and rest. So your body is always seeking a balance between stress and rest. If you get only stress, then the body is not going to be healthy and balanced. If you get only rest, then your body is not going to be healthy and balanced. It's kind of that underuse situation again. So we need a balance of stress and rest, and the yoga practice can provide that. We stress and then we rest. We stress and then we rest. Understanding that balance and the need for that is very key. Then there's the law of priority. So again, I think yoga teachers need to know this because stretching flies in the face of it. And that is that the body prioritizes stability over anything else. So that's because that's what your nervous system is most concerned about. It's being able to stabilize your joints and coordinate your movements. So stability is way more important to the nervous system than something like mobility or flexibility. And you cannot bully your body into favoring flexibility and mobility over stability. There will be consequences. And then there's the law of consistency and variety. So that means that you need consistency for skill building. So that means you need to practice something. You know, if you want to be better at something, you need to practice that thing until you develop some skill at it, right? And then once you've developed skill, now you need some change. And that's the variety part. Changing things up in your practice will help you transfer the skills to more other activities because you're stimulating the nervous system. The nervous system gets stimulation from variety. So we need consistency for skill building and variety for skill transfer. Now, one more, and that is the law of time. And that the permanent changes that we're trying to make in the body, remember, if we want to help somebody, it means we want to make some changes that last, right? And for a change to be on the permanent side, long lasting, then that is going to take time. We cannot make permanent changes in a couple of weeks. We need months and years to make permanent changes, months and years of practice, months and years of guidance and direction and practicing organization and activation so that you're building stronger tissues all the time. And that takes time. You know, there's no quick fixes here. Like, let go of any idea of getting quick fixes. You know, there's things that we can do to kind of make ourselves better, feel better in the short term. But the changing the body, building the body is a long-term goal. Same thing. Hey, enlightenment, long-term. You know, life is a process. Development is a process. Growth and expansion takes time. It can't be done overnight, and there's no shortcuts. So let's look at some of the specific benefits that I can guarantee you from activated asana practice. And this is improving your stability because that's our priority is stability first. And it's often what you hear me say, stability first. Working on your stability develops your proprioception. That's where your body's nervous system knows where you are in space and how to move you, and you have more grace and control and coordination in your movement, more awareness, body awareness, all of that. That's under the umbrella of proprioception. We improve your balance. So that means a balance of strength from one side of the body to the other, but also your single leg standing balances and being able to balance your body as well. That's a skill that we develop when we work on our stability. Then we go on to work on strength, and you need a foundation of stability in order to enhance your strength. And enhancing your strength is sort of the next part of the practice that we focus on. And then ultimately, we want to have range of control. So that's kind of a newer way of saying, you know, mobility or even range of motion is to have a range of control, because unlike stretching, which will give you more range but no control over your range, range of control means that you have mastery over that movement and you're not weak at the ends of that range, which is what happens with stretching. Oftentimes, you're going to be weak at your end range. We naturally are anyways, but the more we go there passively and just wait and hold and relax and let go, the weaker we become. So that's why a stretching focused practice can be a real big problem unless you're doing something to really strengthen everything some other way, you know. But if we're going to practice yoga, and that's our main practice, we need to be doing something that will strengthen us and give us range of control so we can access all that range, but we have control and mastery and coordination. We're building injury proofness because we are building tissue. So this is one thing that all activated asana teachers understand and the students come to understand, is that we're building tissue. We talk about it, we refer to it, they understand that we're building tissue. And then, of course, because we're developing skill, we're going to have better movement and postural habits. Your awareness is just going to increase so much. You'll understand like how to hold yourself in space, and it will get easier and easier over time. And then you'll be taking those skills into all your other activities. So this is what Activated Asana has been designed to do, and those are the results that we see. And this is because it's built on guiding principles. So maybe guiding principles doesn't sound exciting, but I can tell you that learning these concepts is so illuminating and exciting. And you're going to want to tell your students all about it. So we have our basic activations. I'll kind of go in detail with that in a couple minutes. But we have just three basic activations, but they're so potent and important. And then we have an order of progression principle where we work on our stability first, then the strength, then mobility. We don't go straight to mobility because we know that just pulls the body apart and it doesn't make us stronger or develop any of those other capacities that we want. And then we work on safe challenges and we understand how to incrementally give the body new challenges when it's ready so that we're always kind of climbing the ladder up toward a stronger, more resilient body. We're not sliding down a steep slope into injury, okay? We're trained here in Activated Asana to understand the difference and only take you on the uphill climb. So yeah, there's many benefits to this type of practice, which I just went through, so I won't do that again. So let's just talk about the short and long-term outcomes one more time. So when we develop our skills in the practice using organization and activation, now you know what that is, you're maximizing safety, but also maximizing strength outcomes in any physical activity you do. Helps us to move more efficiently in new or unexpected circumstances too. So you can try things you've never tried before and still have confidence that you know how to organize and activate your body. So you just apply that. You're learning good mechanics, learning new habits, better joint positions without sacrificing your future function. So I would never guide a student somewhere where their body had not been prepared to go and where I thought, well, okay if they do this now, but this might not be good for them in the future. I know most yoga teachers probably can't even think like that, but that is where I'm coming from. You're going to develop confidence in your body, so you can stop a fall. I get so many stories about that. Like, I just slipped on the ice and I was able to catch myself. I was going into the splits, but I was able to stop. People have so much more confidence in kind of uncomfortable terrain, slippery sidewalks, and all that kind of thing. So, you're going to have more confidence in your body's capabilities. And then, as I keep saying, you're going to be able to transfer those skills into all kinds of other activities that you do, even brand new ones that you've never tried before. So I don't want to give you the impression that Activated Asana is like some kind of gentle practice, or we're only doing super basic poses that, are like really, really basic, not super interesting, because we love our challenging poses. We just choose them wisely, okay? We're not going to do postures that really do put the body in jeopardy or try to make our hips way more open than they should be, or any other joint for that matter. So, various single leg standing balances we love. We love our back bends. We love our arm balances. We just learn how to build them incrementally. We build the tissues, we build the joints, we build the balance and body awareness, and then we can achieve those things. It's very systematic. So let's just look at examples of skillful movement for a sec. So when I say skillful movement, like things like climbing trees or, riding mountain bike through like really difficult terrain, or picking up a wiggling child, or horseback riding, or rock climbing. I mean, it could be a sport that you play, whatever it might be. If you understand how to organize and activate your body, you're going to be in a position to do that with more safety and more skill. So again, this is how it plays out in your real life. So let's shift now to looking at the long-term outcomes. We'll just touch on this briefly. What is high performance aging anyways? It's the body's ability to retain like basic human positions and abilities that you need to live an independent life. So you need like good foot function. You need good ankle, knee, hip function. You need a strong core. You need your shoulders to be fully functional. to be independent in your very, very later years. So we can work on that in yoga your whole life. You want to be independent, keep doing what you love, and not have, your movement life sort of close in on you. So you can only do the most few things throughout your day. You want to have a resilient body that is injury proof and it can recover from accidental injuries if they happen. And you're improving your health span throughout your life. So you're not ending up super incapacitated in those later years. Again, I this is just something that becomes more and more important as you go on. So, better outcomes is what this is all about. And, a lot of people, students who are taking our classes, they're hoping that taking yoga is going to give them a good long-term outcome. It is going to make them more functional as they age. They're hoping that. Now, if you as a yoga teacher cannot guarantee them that, then you don't know how your practice, how your sequences, how your teaching is going to affect them in the future. And that's a pretty uncomfortable place to be. Most teachers don't know that, to be quite honest. So, if high performance aging is actually going to happen, it's not going to happen by accident. You actually really need to understand, the lifestyle habits. And I don't just mean like eating right and sleeping well, but, what do your joints, your tissues, what is needed, what needs to be part of your movement life for those kind of outcomes to happen. Examples of high performance aging, you want to be able to ride a bike. Maybe you want to play in the park with your grandchildren, perhaps, maybe not with your friends, or, fish, whatever it might be. You want to have confidence in your body so that you can do whatever it is that you want. And we do this partly by teaching organization and activation, but also like really including those human being poses. So there are certain poses, postures, positions we get into in yoga that really are good for developing movement skill and that will have the outcome of high performance aging. They're built on stability first, then strength, and then range of control. We're not trying to make our joints dangerously open. A lot of people who have really open joints are quite unstable, and the nervous system doesn't like that at all. They can actually have, a lot of anxiety around it. So here's a trophy pose, we'll say. There's nothing inherent wrong with doing a trophy pose. It's just that make sure your body's been prepared for it. It's good to try some of these things sometimes and just say, can I do it? That keeps us interested and motivated. I'm all for that. But there is more of a risk of injury with some of those, like with arm inversions and, the big opening postures where you have to go really deep or really move that joint as far as it's going to go. I'm not really a big fan of that unless you're able to do it actively. So that's what we emphasize. No passive postures in activated asana. It's not about softening, relaxing, and letting go, because that's where the pit is. That's where the pit is. We don't want to go there. Examples of trophy poses. So, again, when you look at these poses, you can see that, a pancake flat forward fold, like, why is that so prized in yoga? I don't understand. This does not make anything function better. Putting your legs behind your head, yeah, not good for hip or back or pelvis or SI joints. If there are people who can just do it. They have so much flexibility, but most of those people who have that much flexibility also have joint pain, also have instability issues, and also they're much more prone to injury. So just so you're aware of that, they have a particular kind of connective tissue that causes that. So yeah, I don't highly prize those type of poses. We focus more on human being poses, what I call them. So like if you look at this lunge, this is helping maintain hip extension, which you really need for walking, and push off with your foot, and stability of the front leg, and then pelvic position and core strength. So there's a lot of poses where you can get so much from the pose, and that's what we tend to focus on. We want to maintain all those abilities and joint positions so we can maximize the quality of our life and our independence. It's yoga. It feels like yoga. Believe me, it's such a deep awareness practice organization and activation. It really drives you into your body, into what you're feeling, and then following the feeling and working with the energy in the body. So it's not about what it looks like, it's about what it feels like. It's not about trophy poses, it's about how making your body stronger and more resilient and function better. And an example of that is like a full squat position. Believe it or not, everybody has full ankle range of motion to get down into the bottom of the squat. Every child can do that. And we just lose it over our lifespan because we don't go there often enough. So, I do focus on that type of posture, like, okay, let's regain something that's been lost. Let's maintain something as long as we possibly can. So a full squat is a good example of that. It ensures you can get an up and down off the ground, etc., which is a health indicator. And here's some other activated asana postures. We're doing seated twists or lying twists to help maintain rotation of the upper spine. The bridge poses are wonderful for back body strength and hip extension. Again, it's just a very important capacity to maintain. Back extension as well, super important. The warrior poses, any kind of standing poses, single leg standing balances, lunging poses, all of these are wonderful poses. Lots of those show up in the activated asana practice. No poses where the leg is behind the head. Well, that's not true. Maybe compass pose. So rather than softening, we're activating. This is what we do in activated asana. That's why it's called activated asana, because we're activating. We're using muscle activation to tension the fascia. And where you see here, sure, we could drop down into the lowest iteration of this deep lunge, but then we just be hanging on the front of the hip joint. And what good is that to us? Instead, we activate, we press into the feet and we take our energy upward. Okay, so that's what we're doing over and over. We press into the feet and we get that upward lifting energy. And you will feel that very distinctly. So let's look at how organization and activation helps us do that. So this is our methodology, and it was inspired by movement science. And yoga's slower methodical pace is what makes it so really the perfect situation, the perfect practice for teaching this type of movement skill. And you'll be able to apply it everywhere. So we have 3 basic activations. I told you I would show them to you. So first we have the foot to core activation, which is connecting the foot, lower leg, thigh, and hip into the core of the body. The root of the leg is actually the psoas, so we're literally connecting the leg to the spine. And then in the hand to core activation, you're connecting the hand, forearm, upper arm, shoulder blade into the core of the body, into the chest and back, into the core of the body, onto the rib cage. And the full body activation is where we knit the entire body together to operate as one piece. So this is what you'll need to do for certain postures. We can explore it in downward facing dog, but you really need to have it in things like plank or side plank or single leg standing balance. We're actually working with the deep front line. We're connecting the entire body because asana is a full body practice from fingertips to toes, and that's where you'll really appreciate that. All right, let's quickly look at what is organization. We have these 2 words, organization and activation. Let's look at organization first of all. That refers to your setup position. So this is a position that optimizes your joint position, gives you better balance, movement efficiency, and healthy function over the long term. Because remember, you're practicing this over the long term. You're building and changing your tissue. You're going to have better long-term outcomes. You can think of organization as alignment, like without muscle activation. And in yoga, alignment has been talked about quite a lot, but alignment in and of itself is quite slippery because joint surfaces are slippery. So you need muscle and fascial activation in order to secure the position. What we're going for here is dynamic stability, not some kind of rigid thing. So what is organization like? How does that play out? We need to get organized before we start fully moving into a posture. So whether that's cobra or triangle or side plank or something, you need to get organized and prepared, like kind of mentally and set yourself up so that you can move into the posture and be in a well-balanced, well-aligned position. And then, you can turn on your activation. It's very difficult to recover a good position from a poor setup position. So collapsed postures don't miraculously turn into good postures generally. You have to start by getting organized. So let me give you this little example here. You've probably seen lots of people hunching their shoulders and sticking their elbows out on something like little cobra. That is a disorganized position. To organize, you would press your palms down, dial your hands away from each other. That automatically activates the muscles around your shoulder blades and your shoulders onto the back of the body so that you can actually lift the body up with your chest open, your shoulders away from the ears, the elbows tucked in. All of that happens automatically when you get organized first and you dial out. So that's where it would look like, much better organized setup. And then when you go to lift into a cobra position, everything is aligned the way it should be. Now, what about activation now? So activation means you're turning on the muscles to tension the fascial lines. And again, this is something I go into a lot of depth in my training, helping you understand the lines themselves, what they're made of, what are their special properties, and how do we use them in movement. Activation is how we use them in movement. So without activation, your postures are going to probably feel kind of wobbly and unstable. Activation helps prevent joint collapse and injuries and helps you access your full strength. So usually one of the first things that people notice when they start activating is that they actually feel stronger than they thought. So when you have your body activated, you're going to be able to lift yourself away from the floor. So if you look at this first posture, everything is sinking down. I'm kind of collapsing passively into the floor. And if you're feeling gravity in your postures, that's because you're not activated. When you start activating, you're going to get upward lifting energy from pressing down. You get upward lifting energy through your body. It literally turns on muscles and fascia throughout your body, and you get an upward lift. So that's what we're going for when we're activating. Why it works is that here's one of the reasons why it works. First of all, it secures a better joint position, right? Because alignment without activation is kind of wobbly. So we get organized in a good position, activate to maintain it, and then we have control so that we have dynamic stability, not just, quickly moving from one place to another or in a floppy way, moving from one posture to another, which we often see too, where the joints are collapsing in those transitions. We can actually move through transitions with a lot more grace and control. So that's what activation helps us to do. Activation also, in addition to that, it makes your nervous system feel more secure, more in control, more balanced in your postures. When the nervous system is happier, then you're going to have access to more movement and you'll have more capability. When the nervous system gets nervous, it's going to shut down movement. So a lot of people think they have tight muscles and that's what's holding them back in their practice. Tight muscles is usually just your nervous system being kind of touchy and panicky and trying to make sure you're not overusing this unstable joint, or it's trying to literally shut down movement. So you have to work with the nervous system if you want more movement and you want to expand your capabilities. Very important concept to understand. Your nervous system and its confidence in your stability and control is kind of the primary factor in whether or not you're going to have certain capacities in your practice. So I'm sure you've seen this a lot in Warrior 2, you see how the knee is going to naturally gravitate to the inside because it just doesn't have strong connective tissue support on the medial side. That's why it gets injured so much, because the knee collapses medially and the femur rotates medially. So what we do instead is we ground through the great toe, we dial the foot and the knee outward, and then we come up against a nice, very strong fascial line that helps maintain our knee stability, and it helps connect the foot to the core. So there's a lot going on there that, this one activation, the foot to core activation, turns on a lot within your body that enhances your practice and develops your strength and your skill. So really worth doing. So that is organization and activation. And, I just wanted to kind of fill you in on like, what is activated asana all about? And it is a practice that's designed to solve problems, but be deeply enjoyable in all the ways that yoga is enjoyable in terms of being a mindful practice. And it is a deeply mindful practice because organization and activation really drives you into your body, helps you follow what you're feeling, and you'll get to know your body so much better. Yeah, it's just absolutely delicious that way. And it is a practice that is student oriented, right? So, as teachers of activated asana, we're able to see where our students are struggling and we can step in and help them. Often, the system of organization and activation fixes a lot of problems. So, as long as our students understand that, we can help them understand it and really apply it properly. And that is going to enhance their practice in multiple different ways. And it only gets stronger over time. So that's the practice. And then it's the methodology, right? The outcome is very predictable because we're using a method that works with the body tissues, works with the nervous system, and enhances all of our joint positions. So we know what the outcome is going to be. So yeah, we can actually know that. And then it's all about having a better education. And the education piece for activated asana is for the teachers, first of all, because teachers need to have the full education that they need, that full body of knowledge, and they need to be developed as teachers. And that is the only way to be a successful and, expert yoga teacher. But the education is also for our students because activated asana teachers teach their students these fundamental concepts that, help everybody live a better injury-free, pain-free type of life. And activated asana is designed to take on the modern movement crisis. So recognizing the real struggles that people are having right now and providing solutions for that. We can do that in the yoga practice. So hey, if you're interested in trying out the practice, check out some of the practice sequences on YouTube here. If you're interested in becoming an activated asana teacher, there's a link in the description where you can get some more information. But yeah, that's the world of activated asana. It's here to stay. It's going worldwide. And I hope you'll give it a try. I'd love to hear what you think about it. Give me your comments below. All right. Thanks so much for listening to the end. And I'll say bye for now.